exactly is conservative comedy? What is at stake in this genre? What is it?
I know we already know this, but liberals suck. And I hate that leftists get grouped in with liberals, because I was talking to like a family friend and they were married and they just had a kid. And I made a joke and I'm like, I'm sorry, you're in a loving, committed relationship with someone else, so much so that you had a kid. That's pretty gay. You know, just like a joke, just like a just a little joke, just a little joke. Okay? It's a joke that's very common in the queer community, I find. Anytime I hang out with my queer friends, everybody makes these jokes. Anytime you do anything that's like shows affection, it's like, what are you, gay? But it's not like in a mean way. It's in like a it's it's in like a that's so cute. That's actually adorable kind of way. It's ironic. Yeah, it's a lot of like I consider it the same way that like women kind of reclaim the word bitch. Same sort of thing. It's a parody of the way that we used to say that's so gay. Yeah. Or something. Yeah, or like it's so funny because you're doing something very straight. Calling it gay is like funny. Like I don't know. Like you're having a child with your straight partner as a straight person in a straight relationship. That's pretty gay. Also, New Dark, I don't know if I said thank you, but thank you for the 2 gift subs. So anyways, I tell this person, I'm like, oh, that's so gay, blah, blah, blah. And she looks at me and she's like, I don't really like that word being used like that. And I was like, oh, okay, sorry, my bad. I was like, I'm not even like, it's not even homophobic. It's literally like, I don't like the B word, but I guess that's just me. No, I get it. I get it. It's kind of like, just because I reclaimed bitch, if I don't know you like that and you call me a bitch, specifically if you're a man and I don't know you like that, and you call me a bitch, I'm like, you do not know what you got yourself into. Yeah. All my friends can call me bitch. That's fine. I call myself bitch. Like, that's fine. Um, but if I don't know you and I'm like, we're not cool like that yet, man. I don't know. Like, I need to know that, like, you're pro-choice first before you can use that word. You gotta earn that one just a little bit. Just a little bit. Okay? Just a little. What was I trying to say? Anyways, yeah. And I don't remember what it was that she had said. But after she tells me that she didn't think my joke was funny, that me saying that her loving relationship was gay, um, she said something. She was like, "Oh, yeah." Because in my eyes, it's like, "Oh, you are hyper liberal to be saying something like, don't use that word. It's disrespectful to use that word." But then she goes like 2 minutes later on a different conversation, she goes hyper conservative and she's like, no, the man should always pay for dinner. And I'm like, what is your political compass? Like, what does it look like? Because that's crazy for you to shame me for saying that. And then you say the craziest thing I've ever heard in my life. Oh my gosh, that is insane to me. That's crazy. The world is just whatever you want it to be. That's crazy. So I just hate, basically all of that was to say I hate liberals. Okay? That's basically the point, which I know I've already said it 100 times and everyone else in here agrees, but I hate liberals so much. It's just terrible. It's just terrible so much. She's not a friend of yours. Well, she's like a family friend, so like I have to see her sometimes. She's not like a bad person or anything. It's just like I can't crack any jokes around her. I can't crack any egg yolks around her, right? Do you also hate centrists? I have a love-hate relationship with centrists. My problem is like the problem I have with centrists If you could somehow be a centrist without being what I'm about to describe, I would like you. But unfortunately, it's been the case that every single centrist I've run into is like this, where when you provide real evidence to centrists that, like, objectively the left has the correct stance on X, Y, or Z, they just don't.
Were you raised Christian or Muslim? I've been chaperone. I'm trying to figure out whether I like you or not.
I've been chaperoned trying to figure out if I like you or not. I don't. What did he? Is that what you said? Why would me being raised Muslim or Christian change that? Oh, I'm Ben Shapiro. Oh, it's a. Oh, okay. Ben Shapiro. Okay. Got it. I'm Ben Shapiro. Okay. Got it. I'm going to assume that that was just like a joke. But Muslim. I've been chaperoned. Okay. Listen, okay, man. Just stop. Don't be mean to me, guys, okay? Anyways, sorry. To be clear, centrists are on the center until they have to agree with leftist ideas. Yes. Basically, my point is, if you're someone who's a centrist and it's just because you haven't seen a lot of other ideas and what you've been exposed to has been a lot of extremist shit, and that's it, that's the only stuff that you've seen, I can understand being a centrist. And that's, like, fine with me, right? Because it's just like, it's a position that you've taken from, like, in my opinion, ignorance. My problem is that, and maybe it's my fault, maybe I haven't been convincing enough. My problem has always been that when I talk to people and I'm like, yeah, but you have to understand that, like, objectively, conservatives are just worse for this country. Right? They're just worse for the country. And they're like, well, yeah, but, like, what do you mean? And I'm like, yeah, well, they want to take away all of our social security programs and all of our welfare programs. And they don't give a fuck about any of the people that they claim to. They only care about, like, big business. And that's literally it. And you can look at, quite literally, you can look at the past however many decades, basically since Reagan, of, like, Congress legislation and executive orders, and you can see that all of it is pro big business. We've, like, rolled back requirements on corporations for whatever reason that have made all of our lives worse. I used to say that I'm a centrist when I knew nothing about politics. I was a lot more apolitical, and I was being in the middle. And being in the middle sounds like it's right. Yeah, so that's what I'm talking about. I don't hate those people. Like, you being apolitical, not, like, knowing anything, calling yourself a centrist. It's like, I don't inherently hate you, because it's just like, oh, honestly, I think you haven't been shown just, like, how terrible the conservative party is, and how, like, just, I'm not even talking about the people. They could literally be amorphous blobs. Terrible, 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 terrible people. And the thing is, I would like to think that if you show someone who genuinely is ignorant about things and you show them how every single, like, leftist policy that you endorse is objectively good, like, hey, actually removing student loan debt is good. Here are examples of other jubilees. Here are examples of how all of that money, like, here are, like, examples of other states or cities or countries that have forgiven debt and how the economy has looked afterward. Because unfortunately, most people that are not on the left don't care about empathy. So you have to convince them with, like, other stuff like the economy, right? Maybe even smaller would be the death penalty. It's like, hey, I know you don't care about all these people that are on death row because you're like, just don't do crime, forehead, even though it's not that simple. The death penalty, it costs more money for the state, right? It's putting someone in prison for life is less expensive than killing them. And that's just because there's so much paperwork involved, and we have to be absolutely certain when we give the death penalty punishment. So we have to hire a bunch of lawyers, a bunch of people to look at all the paperwork, a bunch of people to, like, confirm everything, to, like, beyond a reasonable doubt this person committed the crime. And even then, we're still wrong a handful of times. And ignore it being immoral, because you have to understand, conservatives don't care about you shaming them for the wrong morals, right? You have to stick with economy, and you tell them, like, it's just more expensive. And because of that, because it's more expensive and it's not even 100% right, like, every time, shouldn't we just remove it and just put people in prison for life? Effectively, does it not achieve the same thing? Like, effectively, your goal is to get this person off the street. What is the goal of a prison system? What is the goal of like a judicial system? It's to get people who are bad actors no longer doing bad things. Doesn't putting them in prison for life work for that? Like, you don't need to do anything else. Like, what do we gain from killing them? I do dislike centrists who, despite you giving them a million arguments on why centrism is not like a great political ideology, they still refuse to believe you or refuse to commit because they have a sentimental attachment to the term centrism. And they don't want to be lumped in with the crazy rightoids and the crazy leftoids. They want to be in their own circle. The reality, however, though, is conservatives, conserve. The conservative position is for things to stay the same. If you are holding a centrist position, you are doing exactly that. You're saying, I want things to stay the same. Functionally, you end up just becoming a conservative. If there's 100 people and you have to vote on whether or not kids get to have free school lunch, and 50 people vote, yes, kids shouldn't have to pay for food. Kids should be able to go to school and have food covered for by the state. And then 40 conservatives or 40 people say, no, we don't think so. Why should my hard-earned tax dollars, pay for some other kid's food? And then the centrists are like, I abstain. I guess it would be the other way around, excuse me. It would be 40 people for it, 50 people against it, or like 41 people for it, 49 people against it, and then that last like 10 people that's important to actually getting those kids school lunches. You, by abstaining and saying, well, I don't engage, I won't take a side. Functionally, what have you done? You've prevented kids from being able to get free school lunch. So functionally, if you are a centrist, generally speaking, you're siding with the side that conserves and keeps things the same, aka conservatives, which is why people say centrists are conservatives. By not taking a side, you took a side? Yeah. Or maybe even more micro. Maybe even slightly more micro. AKA what happened in Germany in the 30s. Let's even talk slightly more micro. It's you and two buddies. Okay? You and your two friends. And one of your friends tells your other friend, you're such a fucking cunt. You're an ugly ass cunt. You know that? And she's like, yeah, well, you know what? You own Funko Pops. Yeah. I've seen them. I've seen you sneaking them in. You thought I didn't see it. I saw it. And he's like, I don't own any Funko Pops. No. Bro, back me up. Back me up here. Back me up, man. And the centrist goes, well, there's just a lot of shit flinging from both sides here. I feel like we both owe some people some apologies here. It's like, what? One of those people fired first. Hello? Wait a minute. One of those people fired first with an unwanted comment, not asked for, braless wife sandwich, not asked for. And the person who fired back was telling the truth about the Funko Pops. That person does own Funko Pops. They didn't even go in with an insult. They just said the truth. And that's what functionally happens when you're a centrist. It's like you think it's the moral position to like step aside from the conflict, and it makes you feel smart and it makes you feel big brain. But in reality, I would say like 90% of instances, if not more, one person is in the wrong. One person is definitely in the wrong.
it mean to its intended audience, and what does it mean to me? Over the last few months, I have spent a lot of time watching and thinking about reactionary jokes, so I hope you enjoyed this video. It's kind of a messy one, I guess, just a few stories about comedy and conservatism and the strange places they intersect. One of the most viewed videos about the idea that the Earth is flat comes from the YouTuber JPC.
Blah, 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 blah. I'm muted? No way. Two people arguing over anime. Believe it or not, both wrong. It's giving big. Two people arguing over anime. Believe it or not, jail. Believe it or not, jail.
Years.
Welcome to the 21st century. The
I hate this guy so much. I hate JP Sears.
Earth isn't round anymore because it never was, because it's flat.
This was 7 years ago, 2016. Mark Sargent's influential series Proving the Flat Earth had come out around a year prior, and flat Earth theory was just starting to make waves on YouTube.
How do we know they were extremely concerned about the sky? Because the US and Russia immediately started firing nuclear weapons straight up.
Sears was one of the first people who wanted to laugh at the whole thing, and he got kind of a lot of attention for doing it. The video is lighthearted and fun, a good reflection of its time, I think. While conspiracy theories were always part of America.
And the other thing is, like, he's absolutely right that there was a period in time where JP Sears, he had like videos that were somewhere in between funny and not funny. It was like, I wouldn't judge someone for liking that video. Hassan's activation account, thank you for the gift sub. But then it was like, I think that the ivermectin or like the steroids, or I guess I shouldn't speculate on whether or not someone uses steroids. I just assume that if you're a conservative influencer and you sell supplements and you have like sponsored segments for supplements that you're on steroids, maybe that's harmful or problematic, but like, I just don't trust anyone that has sponsors for like, get massive semen supplements. It's like, I mean, okay. I mean, okay. And then he has like this video, this one. Oh no, this is from 3 years ago. This was after he became insane. So never mind. Never mind. Naomi, thank you. Thank you for the gift sub. Thank you. Anyways, moving on. Well, actually, like, this is a good example. If you look at some of his really old content 4 years ago, Tesla pretending to save the environment while looking rich. Like that.
Come dance looking left.
Doesn't gamer subs count as that? The thing is, gamer subs doesn't pretend like it's gonna give you these like crazy muscles and like awaken your third eye and decalcify your brain bean or whatever. Gamer subs is just like, hey, do you want caffeine? We sell caffeine. Here you go. Here's some. Do you want that? Do you want them in big booby cups? We have big booby cups. Do you want it? Okay. Like I don't. It's fine. It's fine. Like, that's just. It feels different to me. It feels more like they're trying to sell you this like caffeinated Kool-Aid in like big anime boob cups, which feels different than like a product pretending like it's gonna make you jacked or something.
For their environment is to drive a $110,000 electric car because it has zero emissions. And I want you to know from the bottom of my Tesla-owning heart to you, if you don't drive a Tesla, then you're selfish and clearly hate the environment.
Luxury.
Now, I personally don't think he's very funny. I don't like his delivery or anything, but like, you know what? this was a video that's not that bad. It's like, yeah, making fun of like tech bros that like to pretend like they're saving the planet. Like the Elon Musk fan bros. That's objectively funny. Right? Objectively funny to make fun of Tesla fan bros. I don't really like his delivery. That's like the problem for me. It just something about it is just kind of meh. But there was a time where his content wasn't pure, unadulterated garbage.
American culture, they were, at least in my experience, not always taken so seriously. Before QAnon, before claims of election fraud, before the pandemic, conspiracies were just less relevant in our political landscape. My main cultural touchstone for the conspiracy theorist was Dale Gribble, a guy who kind of lived outside of politics, who just believed random nonsense for the fun of it. Dale Gribble does not vote. He doesn't see the point.
All voters are the same. Simple-minded fools who think their vote makes a difference.
And this is so true. I feel like for, like, literally up until, 2014? Maybe even 2010? Conspiracy theorists were some of the best people. Maybe this is too problematic of a take, but I don't care. They were some of the best people because they were just like the weirdest, wackiest motherfuckers on the planet. They had way too many books on the stupidest shit. They were convinced that everything was connected, but they were also so hyper apolitical that they didn't really have a negative impact on society. The other thing is, yeah, conspiracy theories weren't anti-Semitic. Conspiracy theories were like, almost all of them were rooted in the government is trying to subdue us because they want to hoard all of the wealth to themselves. And it's like, honestly, the conspiracy's wrong, but like, you're not, like, the concept isn't wrong, to be honest. Like, yeah, I mean, I think people in power do want to hoard all of the wealth. Yeah. I don't know about them like sending out electromagnetic waves to get us okay with that. I'm not sure I buy that part because I'm still not okay with it and I never have been. But, okay. Okay, I guess, sure. But that was like a big part of it, right? The people in power always end up being Jews in conspiracy theories. Yeah, sure, but not all the time and also not, it wasn't necessary. Like, it wasn't that every single every single conspiracy theorist theory eventually led there. It was more that, like, the people who were anti-Semitic used it as an opportunity to put even more weight into their anti-Semitism, or to use, like, the conspiracy theory as part of their anti-Semitism. However, maybe it's just that I've spoken to a bunch of conspiracy theorists. A lot of the ones that I've talk to were not anti-Semitic. Like, they're just not anti-Semitic people. And like, if you tried to push them on it, they're like, I mean, yeah, I'm sure there's some Jewish people that are also hoarding all of the wealth. I don't care. That's not the relevant part. There are some human beings on this planet who think they can convene with God themselves, and they are stealing all of our money. Whereas nowadays, every single conspiracy theory immediately takes you to anti-Semitism, and it's only a matter of time before you subscribe to the anti-Semitism. I feel like back then, it wasn't immediately anti-Semitism. It wasn't like, I believe that Area 51 has aliens, and it's because of the Jews. Like, I don't think that was happening, if that makes sense. The actual theories at their root were still anti-Semitic. A lot of them didn't even like know about the depths of the conspiracy. A good example is like blood libel. The whole like adrenochrome, like drinking baby blood or whatever. People have believed that for the longest period of time. But Americans, historically, a lot of the Americans who believed that the people in power were eating babies had no idea that it was rooted in anti-Semitism, had no idea that that was even a thing that existed prior to their times, and went about their lives never even connecting the dot to Jewish people. Like in their head, it was like, no. There's people that eat babies. Huh? What do Jewish people have to do with this? Nowadays, it's like every conspiracy theory is eventually trying to take you to anti-Semitism. They always just thought it was satanic. Do you guys get the point that I'm trying to make, the distinction I'm trying to make between something that is explicitly and always anti-Semitic versus things that just because they had anti-Semitic roots, it doesn't mean that the people who believed them believed in the anti-Semitism. And so those people were so much fun. This huge conspiracy theory guy I worked with felt that other conspiracy theorists were anti-Jew and they were just they were just deep state actors trying to make all the conspiracy theorists look bad. See, that's what I'm talking about. I'm talking about those guys. Those guys were the most fun. They're like, no, dude. It's a plan to make people hate Jewish people. You don't see it? You don't fucking see it? Like, those are the people that are like, they're the best. Because they're always so much fun to talk to. And they can talk and talk and talk. Those motherfuckers can talk forever. Forever. It was great. And now, as usual, Nazis ruin everything. As usual. Fucking as usual, man. Smoking a joint with them was great. I know. And like, I think a big part of me, maybe this is like relatable for some people, and maybe you guys will understand what I'm talking about right now, but Naomi, thank you for the gift sub. Also, I think I missed someone else. Socialism is window fun. Thank you for the 23 months. Thank you. I think as someone who in general does not subscribe to a lot of cultural norms, I always like those people because they were not judgmental people. Like they understood that the world is more complicated than everyone likes to pretend like it is. And it felt like those were the people that were most likely to be like, oh, you're gay? Yeah, that's fine, whatever. Yeah. What do I care? What does that have to do with aliens, man? Well, they are counterculture. Yeah, and I think like a big part of me was very drawn to like those type of people. And that's because they already knew that they looked crazy to everyone around them. And they already knew that everyone else they already knew that everyone around them called them crazy and said that they were weird. And so they were much more accepting of other people that society called weird. And I really loved that aspect of those people. Nazis ruined all the damn conspiracy theorists. I know. Incredible. PB salad. Incredible. But anyways.
System's broke, Hank. The election baby has peed in the bathwater.
Dale Gribble-based legend? Dale Gribble anti-electoral king? I don't know if I'd go as far as to say that I like this video. Like, JP is working with good material, right? It's funny.
Theo, when you come over, I'll show you my setup. I'm fucking cooking, Theo. I'm cooking. I finally did it. The day after tomorrow, it'll be 3 weeks of not having washed my hair. I showered yesterday. I showered yesterday. Okay? I just haven't washed my hair. Okay? Just so you guys know. Just so you guys know. Okay. You mean with shampoo or water? Like, I didn't wash my hair. I put my hair in like a hairnet. You know, and then I wash my body. You're very defensive. Well, I don't want people to think that I like don't shower. That's gross. Besides, I get really bad like backney and chacney when I don't shower. And I can't live like that. So I have to shower. Yeah. Chacney, chest acne. Chacney. Why does nobody call it that? Why does no one else call it chacney? I don't understand. Why? I've never heard it called chacney before. So I made it up because I was like, oh, backney. We'll do it. Chacney. Duh. And I was like, this has to be something that everybody calls it. And every time I say it, there's people like, I've never, what are you talking about? I'm like, Chesney? I don't like that one. I don't like that one. Facne is face acne. I feel like we should stop putting words together before we accidentally reverse create a slur. And then I say something that sounds like a slur and then I get clipped. And I'm like, I swear we were just making up other words for acne. So let's, yeah. I think it's because back and ack have the same vowel sound. You know what? You know what? Girl autism should be protected, cherished, and celebrated. So fucking true. So true.
To believe that the earth is flat, but the sketch itself is just not all that great.
The only argument round earthers have is the line they always say, the earth is not flat.
Sorry. Zitty titties doesn't sound like a slur, so you're safe using that one. I don't think I will. I don't think I will use that one. I think I'd rather be called a slur than say that ever again.
The easiest way to disprove this argument is to cross off the word not. So their theory that the flat earth theory is an incorrect theory is in reality easily disprovable. Think about it. The earth is not flat. The subconscious mind doesn't pick up negatives. So what round earthers are actually...
You can tell this is before he became evil because his hair was still nice.
...telling us is that the earth is flat. Checkmate, round earthers.
Like, I get what he's going for here, but it just feels too basic and heavy-handed and slow, like he's milking this bit for too long. And that's kind of true for the whole video. It's okay, it's fine, but it doesn't get as many...
And I want to say, just really quickly also, I really never, please tell me if I need to stop using it or if I, or what, but like, oh, my eyebrows so itchy. Itchy. Guys, ever since I stopped taking any allergy meds in my experiment to see if I still keep getting sick or not, I've been so itchy. And I've been so sneezy. It's terrible. Anyways. Itchy. Naomi, thank you for the gifts. Thank you. I forgot what I was going to say. I paused for a different reason, but I really never want to stop using globehead to refer to people who don't think that the earth is flat. Calling someone a globehead is just, it's so fucking funny. It's so funny. Yeah, all right, globehead. Oh, let me guess. The earth spins really fast, and that's how we stay on it. Yeah, all right, sure.
Many laughs as it should have. So then, what's going on here? If it's not exceptional or strange in any way, why am I talking about this flat earth sketch from 7 years ago? Well, that's for one reason, and it's maybe a bit more interesting than it sounds. When you go to that video today, and when you look at the most recent comments, people do not get the joke. JP Sears got started on YouTube in 2013. He wanted to be a spiritual coach.
What's the name of the lady? Marie? The lady from, I've started watching Breaking Bad. Skylar's sister? Her name is Marie, I think. He's kind of cuntily with this haircut on the bottom left thumbnail. He's giving Marie. Is he not? Or is he? Come on. He's so, like, this cut, the bob. Oh my God. Wow, Twink Death comes for us all, man. Look at how twinky he was in this first one. Anyways, you started watching it for the first time? No, I'm rewatching it. Nerd with the Beanie, thank you so much for the gift. Thank you.
JP Sears got started on YouTube in 2013. He wanted to be a spiritual coach, to give people life advice and to consult with clients. And honestly, his channel was pretty cute. His first video, called How to Thrive as an Introvert, is exactly what you'd expect it to be. Just really normal advice on living as an introvert.
And when we look at it, it's actually a beautiful gift to be an introvert.
There's just something so earnest about the channel in its early days, so much so that even in moments that feel over the top or corny, you just can't help but smile.
Hey there, friends. I wanted to share with you something that I'm working on in my life, because maybe it'll help you, maybe not. But what I'm working on is becoming more like Forrest Gump.
Look at him explaining that going to college because it's a safety net might be a bad idea.
There's a funny thing about nets. While they can provide safety, they can also provide entrapment. Just ask a dolphin caught in a tuna net how safe it feels. Might just tell you it's trapped, it doesn't like it.
Like, I don't know if that's true. I don't know if the tuna net that catches the dolphin is really super similar to the safety net of college, or similar to the safety net of college, but for some reason I'm just glad he's saying it. I like him. Look, I'm really not trying.
It's like the boogification of YouTubers. No, it's more like the dolphins will say, eh, eh. Sorry, I can't make a good dolphin noise, but I tried, all right? I don't know where the metaphor is going. I think what he was trying to say was like college can sometimes limit you and make you feel like you have to take a specific path. But you don't have to take that path. You can kind of make your own path. If you really want to do something, don't let college dictate what you should or should do. Don't feel like, you know, blah, 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 blah. You get it. Hungry. Thank you for the 2 months. Thank you.
To sell you on this guy too hard. I am not a new agey spiritual coaching type person. I don't care about his degree as a holistic coach, advanced practitioner from the Journeys of Wisdom workshop. But even so, I can see that his early videos come from a genuine place, and I agree with many of them. It is nice for gay people to be around. It is wrong to be an authoritarian parent. It is cool to be like just puzzlingly ripped and tear off your shirt in the thumbnails for your videos because you know you look good and you're so angry. The place JP really got his start though, where he really made a name for himself, was a video called How to Be Ultra Spiritual Funny. If you couldn't guess from the title, the video is satire, making fun of the worst and most performative tendencies of the New Age community.
Talk about energy. You're going to want to integrate this into all your conversations. It'll seem meaningless to other people because it is.
It's a decent video. Sears obviously cares about this stuff, and that simple fact makes his opinions more interesting somehow.
Claim to be using your intuition when you're actually thinking about things.
Like, yeah, it is funny that people say they're using intuition when they just mean they're thinking about something for a bit, and it feels really satisfying to hear this guy, this spiritual boy, make that observation. This video was important to the channel. It got a lot of views, way more than anything else he'd made, and so he started doing this parody series, Ultra Spiritual Life. There's a sound that begins this first video, JP hitting a copper bowl. And even though it's 7 years later, even though it no longer makes any sense, every video on JP's channel still ends with the sound of that bell.
I have like a visceral reaction to the sound of that bell because I've heard it so many times.
Spiritual life was, I guess, what you'd expect it to be. The videos made fun of different kooky beliefs, and for what they are, you know, they're fine. He chose good targets: biohacking, flat earth, conspiracy theorists. Even so, the sketches just feel, I don't know, a bit generic. Well, the series started off being about the excesses of the New Age community, loving ayahuasca, being too into gurus, etc. It quickly...
It's like, who doesn't like to make fun of those people?
spiraled into much broader topics.
It's giving Get Out teacup. It is giving that. Tucson, thank you so much for the 4 months.
Cryptocurrency, climate change denial.
Unfortunately, you can clearly see that objectively speaking, the climate is changing. I mean, what climate change?
But like spiritual type...
See, guys, like, I swear to you, he had videos that were actually good. Maybe not our cup of tea. It's never been my cup of tea. It's never been like, I just don't like his delivery. I like a little bit, someone who's a little bit more quirked up and a little bit more fun delivery, personally. But like, it made sense. The comedy now doesn't even make sense.
Like shit.
Like, he'll be trying to like make fun of someone, but like, there has to be some truth in your jokes. Otherwise, it's just like you're making up a person to get mad at. It's just like angry guy yells at cloud. Egg Water Boy, thank you for the 3 months.
People aren't particularly known for loving those things, loving climate change, so the sketches lack a sense of specificity or direction. At some point, you're just watching a person say stupid things in a dumb voice.
Oh, this just in. You should buy Bitcoin.
And while I guess that is kind of the foundation of comedy, it also doesn't excite me. Doesn't excite my elite palate. Still, my opinion doesn't matter. JP was fairly successful and seemed nice and believed good stuff, and his work was frankly a step up from a lot of YouTube commentary at the time. The word radicalization sounds cool. It has a gravity to it, right? Like you're a radical and you seek out these fundamental ways to transform society. The word puts an emphasis on the end point, the political goals this person has and how seriously he takes them. I don't have a problem, really, with the word radicalization, but when you see the political shift of JP Sears, it just doesn't sound quite right. What happened to him feels smaller, feels sadder. I've spent days of my life now trying to figure out any possible answer to a question that seems quite simple. What happened to JP Sears? Why did he become such an extreme conservative? But the truth is, I don't know him. I don't know the answer. Still, there's a few things we might suggest. Perhaps it was personal. In a recent Babylon Bee interview, JP talks about leaving his New Age community.
I was so into the New Age spirituality for a long time. And quite honestly, I got a lot of benefit from it. And as I removed myself...
I got distracted for a second. God from Fault, thank you for the 33 gift subs. Thank you. Thank you so much for the 33 gift subs. It's really nice of you. Thank you so much. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Did we just get Glorp? We got Glorp.
From that world, like moving out of California, and I start realizing, hey, there is a lot of propaganda in this New Age spiritual movement.
Sears spent much of his life fully buying into this spiritual identity, believing it held the answers he needed, but it seems that he became disillusioned with that community. Around a year ago, he made a video called When Yoga People Become Conservative, and it just stinks of grievance, a sense that these people shunned him, rejected his masculinity or whatever.
Yeah, my old community was all about love and acceptance.
Yeah, and like, I feel that though, because you'll never meet people that are, except for Sam Harris. Sam Harris is the exception. You'll never meet people who are more anti-Muslim than people who were ex-Muslims. Like when you feel like you've escaped from something that's been very toxic and harmful for you, you just naturally tend to be very, very anti about it afterward. That's how I feel about Catholicism. Same with anti-Christians. Yeah, like the people who hate Christianity are generally speaking the people who were forced to go to Catholic school. You just, when you're no longer there, you're like, wow, that fucking sucked. You'll never meet someone who's more anti-Hassan than a former Piker fan.
They shunned me for thinking differently than them. Yeah, it's weird. Now I feel like I no longer have to hide any sign of my true masculinity from my new community. Dude, it is good to be in Texas. Yeah, man, I'll tell you, back in California, there's still people completely oblivious to what's going on. But recently, I started seeing it because I'm awake, so I moved.
Woke you.
I feel sorry for those morons back there that still don't see what's going on.
And it's not surprising to me that when he lost that group, he went in search of another. Steve Eichel, a cult researcher, talks about this idea cult hopping, how people who leave one cult will often seek out another to fill the void. And while I'm not saying that JP was in a literal cult, it's not hard to see the similarities here. Perhaps it has something to do with COVID-19. On April 5th, 2019, months before COVID started, he made a video called Vaccinations, a Fendi Award winner, episode 4. In it, JP comes out and calls Bill Gates a hypocrite because he says he loves jabs so much, but he didn't vaccinate his own kids.
But things took a turn towards Hypocritville when the Gates family private doctor came out revealing that Bill allegedly refused to have his own children vaccinated.
This claim comes from an article from the publication Defend Democracy Press, which reports that a doctor at a symposium says, "I don't know if Bill Gates had his kids vaccinated as adults, but I can tell you point blank he refused to vaccinate them as children." So this claim was debunked. The paper that originally published it, Your News Wire, stole it from some blog and later retracted it. But also, as an aside, the story is just so weirdly written. In the second paragraph, it reads, "The comments caused a stir among physicians at the symposium, with claims he was breaking doctor-patient confidentiality, according to reports. However, as he was speaking to other physicians, he was not breaking the industry code of conduct." I guess the original blog wrote that to make it sound more legit, but I really don't know why they bothered. That's obviously not how HIPAA works. It's not carte blanche for doctors to just expose all their juicy gossip to each other. Anyway, JP sharing this article makes it clear just how sympathetic he was to anti-vax sentiment, how willing he was to indulge in misinformation. And of course, that feeling would only get more intense with time. I think COVID-19 was a radicalizing moment for a lot of people. Folks were inside all the time, they were looking at their computers, and they were afraid. At base, the pandemic demanded that the public be at least willing to trust the claims of big governmental institutions, the death counts they reported, the safety guidance they advocated, the vaccines they produced. And if that trust made you uncomfortable, if you could not wrap your mind around the size and meaning of this pandemic, then I think it was kind of easy to become an extremist. If these institutions are literally just lying about everything, if essentially every country in the world is pushing out fraud, dangerous vaccines, and forging the positive effects of those vaccines, then you have to figure out why they're lying, what they get out of this strange grift. And because everyone is in on this, because everyone is against you, the conspiracy must be massive and terrifying. This is all to say, JP Sears went into the pandemic already believing that vaccines were scary, that the elites were trying to control us with their medicine. So it makes sense that when the pandemic hit, COVID denialism became the centerpiece of his new conservative politics.
So admitted.
Yeah. I don't know if COVID gave me autism, or sorry, COVID vaccines gave autism, but ever since I got vaccinated, I've been really into trains and infrastructure. Stop. Botman 33, 333. Finland, thank you for the 10 months. You know, the really sad thing about the anti-vaxxers, it's like poison the well for any type of discourse about what's the term? Not consent, not choice, but informed consent. It's really poisoned the well on like trying to advocate for better knowledge around prescriptions without like, it's really hard to do that without getting accused of being like an anti-vaxxer. Because it's like, yeah, vaccine injuries are real. There have been people that have gotten vaccine injuries, and there are people who are either they're allergic to something or because of some type of autoimmune disease, it's not recommended that they get it. And if they do get it, it's going to hurt them. Like there are people that should not get vaccinated, 100,000,000%. And if you talk to enough people, if you talk to enough people that know enough people, you'll find someone who was negatively impacted by a vaccine. Right? And the thing to remember is that is a small minority of the population. It's not like vaccine injuries are just like en masse just giving billions of people diseases. But more so that like you should be able to make an informed decision and you should be able to know what you're getting yourself into, and that you shouldn't just it shouldn't be the case that you go to the doctor, you ask for something and they're like, okay, and they just give it to you. Or that the doctor suggests something and you're supposed to immediately do it. Like, I'm pretty anti-big pharma because I know that their main goal is just to run a profit and they don't care about anything else. And I'm pretty pro-science. I think all of that is fine. Yeah, no. And I will say personally that, like, I'm even afraid to say it, or afraid to say it the wrong way because of how poisoned the well is from anti-vaxxers. I know someone who became paralyzed because the COVID vaccine is awful, but I still believe in the viability of vaccines. Yeah. But, like, here's the thing. I do not take any medication that my doctors prescribe me until I go home and I look it up myself. And I read medical trials on that drug, and I read what the adverse side effects are, what the worst case scenario is. I do not just take the shit that my doctor prescribes. Like, no. I have to look it all up before I take it. So I trust doctors. I trust most doctors. I trust 9 in 10 doctors, but I feel like every 10 doctors, you run into one that has no idea what the fuck they're doing and what they're talking about. I got like, after many sexless years, I got my HPV vaccine. Yes, I got my HPV vaccine. And I went to my general practitioner, and I know general practitioners are a joke, but I went to my general practitioner and I was like, hey, who knows? Maybe I'll be having sex soon. And then they laughed, but that was unnecessary. And they told me, oh, well, you shouldn't get the vaccine. And I was like, what do you mean? And they were like, well, you're too old for the vaccine now. And I was like, what are you talking about? What? And they're like, yeah, like it's not effective after a certain age. He was like, normally we would give you 2 and we can still do it if you want, but it's not effective. And he hands me like a pamphlet, and the pamphlet literally disagrees with him. And I'm like, oh, well, okay, I have to go home and double check this. Okay. I have to go home and double check this. And I go home, and you want to know what it says? It says, generally speaking, above the age of 25, the HPV vaccine isn't effective if you've gotten HPV already. Most people, or like a good chunk of people at 25, have had sex and have contracted it at the very least, like one of the lesser versions, and that's why it's not effective. The vaccine continues to be effective. Please go get it. Please go get it. Okay, please go. If you haven't gotten it, please go get it. You can get the vaccine in your 30s. I presume, honestly, you could probably get it in your 40s. I don't know past that because I was just looking up my age. And I couldn't believe it. Like, if I just listened to whatever the fuck my doctor told me, I still wouldn't be vaccinated right now. And even worse, the doctor is like, yeah, I mean, we can give you like the 2 shots that you need. I look it up online. After, I think, 18, you're supposed to get 3 shots. So he's not even right about the number of shots I'm supposed to get. And I literally walked out the door, and that was after waiting 2 hours to see him. I walked out the door. I went to the CVS. I was like, do you guys give HPV vaccines here? And she's like, yeah, you just need to fill out this like intake form. And I was like, okay. And she gave me the first shot like within 15 minutes. I just couldn't even believe it. I got it at 32 and I'm chill. A good doctor would have ordered an HPV antibody test then and then decided if a vaccination would be effective. Yeah, a good doctor would be like, okay, well, what I recommend is let's run a test to see if you have it. If you don't have it, and you don't, because it's HPV is not just like one thing. From my understanding, it's like a lot of different strains, and you just really don't want to get like the evil bad strains, like the really bad strains. But like, let's run a test and see what you got and whatever. And if you're good, then we'll get you a, multiple strains like the flu. Yeah. So let's do it. Also, yeah, HPV can cause penile and throat cancer. Men need to get the HPV vaccine as well. Yeah. Just to be clear, I don't remember. I can't remember if you can test men for HPV or not. I thought it was no, but I don't remember. Can you? No, right? There's no currently approved test. Yeah, because from my understanding, the way that you detect HPV for women is like the pussy swab that they do. And if you don't have a pussy, they can't swab you, I guess. But yeah, the CDC.gov website says, no, there is currently no approved test for testing HPV in men. CDC does not recommend routine testing, also called screening, for HPV in men. So whatever there is that exists, whatever screening does exist, it looks like it's pretty mediocre. If it does, the CDC doesn't have currently an approved testing for it. But yeah, it's the HPV is the thing that can give you throat cancer or cervical cancer or penile cancer. But you absolutely, and because it can affect you, you absolutely should get the HPV vaccine regardless of your gender or sex. You should absolutely be getting it. The sounding rounding. Stop. But like, if I had not gone home and researched that myself, if I had just blanket trusted my doctor, that would have been the wrong decision. I should not have, and I'm happy that I didn't. Come on, science and medicine, make a better test. Yeah, just say dick cancer. Sorry, you're right. Cock cancer. Alien to Quebec. Thank you for this sweet message and the 16 ones. Thank you. The fact that you are going to click play to have someone explain in detail why vaccines are bad is going to be so funny. I know. My point, though, however, is anytime you try to talk about like taking a little bit more care about doctors and recognizing that, doctors are people and people can be wrong and you should always be double checking things. And also people can be immoral, like the oxy overprescribing, the overprescription of oxy. Like that was done as a financial incentive. Like the reason doctors overprescribed is because it was financially profitable to do so. And that's it. They didn't care if you needed it or not. They wanted to make money off you and they knew that they would make money by prescribing it to you. Groovy, thank you so much for the Prime sub. Thank you. Or the tier 1. Thank you. Men can get the vaccine. Also, when my girlfriend got the vaccine, she had one of the cancer strains and the doctor said the vaccine can help clear the infection, which it did in her case. There's kind of like, from my understanding, there's no reason to not get the HPV vaccine unless you have a reason. Another reason medicine shouldn't be for profit. Yes. And when I say do your own research, I do not mean go and watch a fucking YouTube video with some other schmuck. Okay, I mean, go and find research papers and clinical trials and see how they run the trial, see who paid for the trial, see how big the sample size was. That's what I mean. Exactly, holy shit. Watch TikTok instead. No. Yeah. Nerd with the beanie, exactly. Software engineer at a for-profit healthcare company. Yeah. Anyways, and that's how I feel about vaccines. It's like, it really sucks that there are people who have had bad vaccine injuries and have had negative side effects because of taking vaccines that almost certainly did like save their life in other ways, right? Or probably did. But we can't talk about it because a bunch of these freaks tell everybody, don't get vaccinated no matter what. And if I suggest, hey, you know, if you do have vaccine allergies, or you are prone to this, or you are predisposed to something like this, you know, you should double check with a bunch of medical practitioners and make sure that it's the right decision for you. If you're a normal, healthy person, you've gotten lots of vaccines before, you have no history, no one in your family has any history of vaccine injuries, it's probably fine for you to go get vaccinated. It's probably fine. God, our Lord, no. Now let's hear this guy talk about how terrible vaccines are.
Admittedly, I was a little anti-vax, but you know, the past 3 years, I've opened my mind, my eyes, done my own thinking, and you know, now I'm just completely anti-vax.
At any rate, whatever the reason for JP's political transform he did. When you watch his channel in the last 3 years, it feels as though a light switch turned off inside of him. He used to affirm trans people, at least to some extent. Now his main thing is laughing at them. He used to mock climate change deniers. Now he's fully on board.
As soon as I got to Florida, I went right to the beach to check the sea levels. And my measurements revealed something disturbing. What? My measurements showed that the sea levels had devastatingly risen to the exact same level they've been for 300 years.
That's so scary.
Yeah.
I like how he says that just so confidently. Sea levels haven't risen. Yes, they have, JP. They've risen. I'm starting to think this guy didn't actually measure the sea. What the fuck? It's not just the big stuff either. When you have a conservative awakening, every belief you had must be inverted to fit with the new paradigm. Didn't like crypto before? Well, now you love it. It's your favorite thing and you hate fiat currency.
I love fiat currency. Storing your value in US currency is like holding ice that melts away in your hand. And I say, good.
Didn't like biohacking before? Well, now you love hawking heart and soil organ supplements.
Today's video is brought to you by Heart and Soil Supplements.
So just a fun fact, the guy who founded the Heart and Soil organ supplement company is named Paul Saladino. And when I found that out, I started screaming because I love this guy's TikToks. He's amazing. All he does is eat raw organ meat all day, every day. He doesn't give a fuck.
Problem with raw liver is that it's kind of gelatinous and weird. But if you freeze it, then it's not as bad to chew, so...
One thing I will say is that I'm a little bit disappointed by him running this organ supplement company, right? Like, clearly this guy thinks there's major advantages to consuming raw meats, right? Otherwise, why is he doing it? So why is he selling off this vitamin? There's no way that's as good. You should be selling cow hearts, Paul Saladino. You shouldn't be selling a pill. You shouldn't be giving people an easy way out.
Is beer giving you man boobs? Maybe.
The thing about JP's new content is that it's just not funny.
The way that guy said the maybe.
That's probably not a great way of putting it because I actually never thought he was all that funny. But the thing about his new work, though, is that some of it doesn't even feel like it's trying.
And trans women in chat like, FR? Maybe I will buy some Bud Light.
To be funny. Don't get me wrong, he still makes jokes. In one video called When Conservatives Fall in Love, JP seems like he's in love with a woman, but then, and this is the joke, he's actually in love with a gun.
Will you marry me?
Because conservatives like guns is the main idea the sketch is exploring. But every so often, JP's new videos don't even rise to the level of what if I was dating a gun. Like, he has this running satirical news show called We Lie to You News.
Good evening and welcome to We Lie to You News. Tonight we'll feed you trustworthy lies that you'll only need to betray your own consciousness to believe.
It's exactly what it sounds like, JP's attempt to skewer the liberal media, but when you actually watch the videos, he barely even goes in for satire or jokes.
And in news of someone with testicles that pretends he doesn't have them, a freshman boy on the girls' cross-country team somehow annihilates the competition as he takes home first place in the conference championships.
Do you hear the problem here? If the point of this sketch is to make fun of liberals, then why does this news anchor just agree with JP Sears' position, call a trans woman a man? He should believe that she's a woman, right? That's the whole point. Like, the sketch series is called We Lie to You News, but if the media doesn't lie from a conservative perspective, then what's the sketch then, in that case? And this series is filled with these little oddities. Like, he talks about Dana White, a conservative businessman, and says this:
"Nothing to learn from that unless you want to be a strong person running a successful business."
Why would the liberal media say that, though? Wouldn't they think the opposite? Because they're evil and biased and lie to you all the time? Or at one point he says this about Gavin Newsom in California:
"Why hasn't he bothered cleaning up the streets of his degenerate state before?"
And no, the news anchor should like those things. That's the whole idea for the fucking joke. But it just seems like JP doesn't want to do that anymore. It seems like he's not interested. Or here's another example, a video called If Conservatives Ran the Schools. So the grammar of JP Sears' videos, and basically the grammar of sketch comedy in general, is that the title of the sketch tells us the subject of comedy. How to be a woke white person makes fun of woke white people. How to be gluten intolerant makes fun of people who don't eat gluten. You get the idea. This isn't rocket science, and you'd expect this video to follow the same pattern, to poke fun at the idea of a school run by a hardcore conservative. That's not the case here, though. Even as this guy is presented as a bit odd, more crude than you might expect a teacher to be, the sketch is basically just about how correct conservatives are, about how cool it is when they bully their SJW students.
"Your dad is a pansy beta male who's allergic to discomfort, probably still wears a mask."
He does still wear a mask.
"And on a regular basis, he gets pegged by your mom whose mind is degenerated by feminism."
It's so fucked up because this is like so close to actually being a funny skit. It's so close to being funny. Like, if the skit ends with like him saying, "Honestly, wish that were me." Anyways, it would be so funny, right? But then the problem is that he doesn't do that, and he's totally serious, and he thinks.
She's probably gotten at least 5
When you say so close, do you mean in miles away?
abortions, and she's proud of them. You're lucky you weren't one of them.
This is it. It's the whole video, and it's so hard to watch. It's not that I don't think this sketch is funny, it's that I don't think it's a sketch exactly. Conservatives do hate progressives and trans people and abortions. They do like the idea of people like this running their schools, and they say that in comment after comment. I love this dude. As a teacher, I approve of this. I've learned so much from this beautiful video. So if this guy is supposed to be awesome, if that's how this video reads for me and for JP's audience, then the main thing it's providing isn't sketch comedy so much as a power fantasy. It's an opportunity to relish in the pleasure of abusing a made-up child.
Dry it up. Stop crying. You have objectively weak parents. They have failed you. But you being a soft, weak piece of is your fault, not theirs.
We don't usually think of bad comedy as a stylistic decision. We think of it as a defect. Jokes are supposed to be legible. Comedy is supposed to be funny. And when it's not funny...
Solar eclipse is happening right now? All right.
That's a problem. But there's something that feels meaningful in these failed jokes from JP Sears. Because here's the thing, if he took this satirical liberal news anchor and had him gender this woman properly, then even if it's ironic, he'd have to say that a real breathing trans woman is a woman. If he made this conservative teacher really goofy or stupid, even in a silly, uncontroversial way, then he'd have to show conservatism as an imperfect thing, be willing to laugh about it a bit. And of course I don't know this, but it seems to me like he's not willing to do these things, to engage with the joke. And so we get broken comedy, sketches that feel empty. If you really want to understand JP Sears though, I think there's one video that you need to watch. And unlike almost all of his most recent content, it's not comedy related. The video is called I Changed My Mind About God, Here's Why, and boy is it strange.
So I asked the question, why are people getting more Christian without even trying.
You might expect a video like this to be about big ideas, faith, devotion, belief in Jesus Christ. At base, that is what Christianity is, right? A belief in Jesus, thinking that he's believing that he's God and stuff. Maybe I made that up though. Maybe I got that from some kind of fever dream, because as it happens, neither the word Christ nor Jesus appears in this video once. No, it seems that to JP, Christianity is less about Christ than it is about Satan.
The presence of evil and Satan that evil emanates from has never been more obvious, at least in my lifetime. The past 3 years, evil isn't hiding anymore. It's coming at us through authoritarianism, movements, people, groups, companies, governments, trying to invade our minds, invade our God-given free will. So as that's become more obvious, I think there's a natural polarity that happens.
In essence, he became more Christian when he saw the devil all around him. There's something so strangely mechanical about this, it really makes me sad. Like, Sears believes in all of these conspiracies woven together in an intricate global web. He believes everyone's lying about vaccines and global warming and the deep state. He's flirted with wilder stuff, theorized that some forest fires in Hawaii were caused by space lasers.
The elites know to never let a good crisis go to waste, and at other times they seem to cause the crisis that they don't let go to waste. Is this the case in Maui? Some speculate that a directed energy weapon, or DEW, was used to intentionally start the fire so that a World Economic Forum friendly, climate change fighting 15-minute city could be built upon the destroyed town of Lahaina. This doesn't make sense though, because back in January there was a meeting held on Maui about turning it into a 15-minute city. Wait a minute. That would actually make it make more sense.
But what he needs now and what he cannot get is the why. What's all this for? Why did the world turn against him and turn so quickly? And here, Satan, this transcendent and totalizing evil, introduces himself and unifies all the conspiracies under one horrible banner. So no, I don't think JP's new beliefs really come out of faith, some deep-seated love in Christ or whatever, but instead come as a matter of absolute political necessity. JP has gone too far, and dark magic and cleansing light are now the only things that can hold the world together. JP Sears' Flat Earth video, the one from 8 years ago, was a bit worse than I made it out to be. Like, let me show you one of the first jokes in the sketch.
On October 13th, 2015, a flight from Taiwan to LA, a woman's water broke. She gave birth, so they had to make an emergency landing. Where do you think they landed? Alaska. If the Earth was round, they never would have landed in Alaska, because according to this flat map of the round Earth, you can see that they'd have to go further out of their way to land in Alaska compared to just going to LA. Why'd it land in Alaska? Because if you look at a flat Earth map, you'll see that Alaska is directly in between Taiwan and LA. There's no explanation for this other than the fact that the Earth is flat.
So, did you catch the joke in that joke? It's right there, this line.
Because according to this flat map of the round Earth,
see, the problem with that flat Earth character's point is that he's using a map, a 2D model of a round object, and that map distorts the reality that when you're flying between the two, Alaska is, roughly speaking, on the way from Taiwan to LA. So, okay, so there's Taiwan, and then over there, over on there, that's Los Angeles, okay. So you might intuitively expect the route between those two places to be just like that, just this line right from one place to the other. But that, because of math, that's not true, that's wrong. The fastest route actually goes in a circle across the sphere, just like that. And you might notice something, which is that along that way, along that direction, that's Anchorage, Alaska, right there. So that's why the plane stops in Anchorage, Alaska, because the Earth is round. I'll leave a link in my description to a Wikipedia article explaining all of this if you're interested. That's kind of a complicated idea, right? A bit of a deep cut. And while that's not a bad thing at all, I don't think Sears conveys it properly. He puts the punchline right—
It's almost like the Earth is widest at the equator. You stupid science nerd, stop it.
in the middle of the joke, so it doesn't really feel like a punchline, and it doesn't show his point as clearly as he could have. There are other jokes like this in the video, bits that just don't scan all that well. And back then, in 2016, that really didn't matter. Nobody would have thought that Sears was a flat earther because that's not a normal thing to be, and Sears was a pretty average person. But I mean, look at him now. The man believes down the line every conspiracy he's supposed to, and he believes in the evil God who makes his stories make sense. He sells shirts that say it's not a conspiracy anymore. Why wouldn't he be a flat earther? He actually represents the FE case rather consistently, almost makes you wonder whether he is really a believer himself and is using his sarcasm to outwit the censorship. If so, I'd say he's one clever individual. After all these years, I finally watched this thing. I thought it was your typical FE mockery. It's satire, of course, a back-asswards trick, an ingenious trap to lure Globers into his web of math and logic, and viewers fall for the headband and reverse psypopery? Well played, JP. In a time of universal deceit, telling the truth is a revolutionary act. George Orwell. JP is a closet flat earther. He knows our theories too well.
A masterful
The genius
Your
here
Highness.
is that people think this is a parody when in fact he's cleverly sharing what he knows to be true. He is actually making the case for the flat earth. It goes on and on and on and on and on like this.
No.
This has been a long discussion to get at one little idea. You might think that talking about this, talking about conservatives and comedy is silly, but I disagree. Jokes mean a lot. There is something at stake in jokes, and who makes them, and what they're trying to say, and who they're saying them to. There is something deep in getting a joke, and something telling in not getting it. Almost a decade ago, JP Sears made a joke, and today that joke is a tragedy, and the fact that that is possible is scary and electrifying and thought-provoking. It's why I'm making this video. So okay, with that in mind, let's get into the nitty-gritty. Let's talk about how jokes work.
Jokes? What the fuck is that? I don't left it.
So this is
No, I'm living proof that like the only thing that can stop you from being a funny joking jokeroo is just having a stick up your ass. That's it. Wow, so deep. I know, so deep. But like, nothing can stop you from making jokes about what you want to make jokes about. As long as you're not being a fucking asshole about it. As long as you're not pulling a Sandy Cheeks or a SpongeBob Sandy Cheeks. And you're not like just making other people feel bad to make yourself or other people feel good. You can make jokes about anything you want. You can't make jokes. This is the internet. You're right. Fuck. Shit. Actually, speaking of jokes. This is a great example of like making jokes about gender. That isn't just how many pronouns.
My pronouns are she.
One sec. There's so many good aspects of this joke as well.
My pronouns are she, her. Yeah, I know I have big they energy. I know I can see this as well. Yeah, everyone assumes that I'm non-binary, which is why I'm not. So, yeah, I gotta fight back somehow, right? Yeah, no, I probably am. I'm just being stubborn at this point. I just feel like if I still identify as a girl, I'm like a cool girl. You know? Like, I'm a lesbian who skateboards. That's cool. Yeah. Otherwise, I'm just a really boring, non-binary person. Okay, like my hair's one color. I don't have any tattoos or piercings. And I think monogamy is okay. It's not a good look for the brand, all right?
If you're like me and struggle...
Stop, don't look at me. Don't look at my videos. Don't look at my liked videos. But it's like That was a great joke. That was a great fucking joke. It just... Why is it so funny? I'm not even non-binary. It's every part of that was good. And none of it was harmful. It's almost like you can make jokes. I love that dietitian's videos as well. Thank you. That lady has great recipes. Don't feel shame about it. That's like a video from this woman who, she's a dietitian, but she basically makes videos for streamers. I think she also makes videos for people who have real problems, like chronic issues, like chronic pain or disabilities, or you know, people who are really time short. But it's also for the oppressed class, aka streamers. And it's just like, hey, are you too lazy to cook? It's okay. I'm not judging you. Here's what you can do. And I'm like, wow, I really can cook. And I cooked yesterday. Just need everyone to know here. I just need everyone to know here. I made garlic honey chicken. And it was not a frozen meal. That's right. I went to the store. I bought raw chicken. And I put it on a pan and seasoned it and ate it with some admittedly microwavable rice. Okay, admittedly the rice was, yeah, that one was in a bag. I didn't feel like cooking rice. I'm sorry. Wait, raw? Yeah, I took raw chicken and put it on a pan with some seasoning and stuff. Girl, get a rice cooker. I know, but like I still haven't gotten one, so like stop judging me. Plus I already bought that. I already bought that microwavable rice. Okay, I already bought it months ago, so I'm gonna eat it. All right, sorry. Okay. Listen. I'll take a picture of the food I made. I made a bunch of leftovers as well, so I have food now. Yeah, making honey garlic chicken is so easy. You just take like, I get like the pre-cut chicken tenders, and then I just like rolled them around in flour, threw them on a pan with some oil and butter. I actually like to add a little bit of red pepper flakes for some spice, salt, pepper, and then let it like get a nice crisp on both sides. I put some garlic paste, but I also have frozen garlic as well, so I could have used that. I forgot that I had that. No, it's frozen ginger. Never mind. I can't use that. And then at the end, soy sauce, honey, a little bit of vinegar. It was great. And I'm just going to say one other thing. Stop it. It was so, I've actually never made chicken that well. The chicken was so moist. I actually was surprised. Usually with chicken, I end up overcooking it a little bit every single time, because I'm so afraid of salmonella. I've never given myself food poisoning, and I don't want to start now. So I almost always overcook my chicken a little bit, because I would rather eat it a little bit dry than eat it raw. But this time I cooked it perfect. It was literally perfect. It was so perfect. I have such a strong fear of it as well. Yeah, I would rather have the chicken be a little dry than be undercooked and then start panicking about how much food I just ate that was like raw. And I've cooked a lot, and I've never made anyone sick with my cooking yet. Anyways. Sorry, that was a joke that I wanted to show, because it's like, it's like the joke is making fun of how the comedian looks, making fun of how like non-binary people tend to look, without making fun of non-binary people. The end of the joke is her saying like, yeah, because I probably am. So it's like she's just making fun of herself. And then she throws in the little like joke about polygamy or like polyamory. Like everything in it was good. None of it was like, you did not leave that joke with the idea that she was trying to make fun of any group of people, or that she was trying to like besmirch the good name of any people. When your joke isn't even based in reality and it's not funny, it's just not funny. It feels like they have non-binary friends. Yeah. Oh, man. She wasn't even trying to make any specific group look bad either. Yeah.